everyone. I'm Donna Bush with your CID-TV News Brief on this Monday evening. The Ministry of Education hosted the annual Education Professionals event for government school teachers on Monday morning, titled Developing Cayman's Future Leaders. During the event, Minister Juliana Connolly announced plans for the school year and spoke of the many improvements across government schools. Premier the Honourable Wayne Panton also spoke to the new and returning educators.
If you want first-class, world-class education, you have to let the children know that in every aspect of our operation, and that's what the PAC government is all about. We also took note that some parents, especially since advent of COVID, were having financial challenges in meeting the requirements for school lunches, breakfast and snacks at school, especially when you have more than one child. It's difficult enough having to pay your utility bills and all those other colossal bills that come in at the end of the month. So the PAC government considered and financed for all of our primary public schools to have free breakfast, free snacks, and free lunch.
So bring your emotion, bring your passion, and that's what I saw this morning, and that's what I believe exists throughout this audacious group of wonderful teachers that we have.
Hundreds of government school teachers joined senior civil servants, His Excellency the Governor, the Deputy Governor, and invited elected officials at the event, which was held at the John Gray High School Gymnasium. Well, as the goal of achieving an 80% COVID-19 vaccination rate in the Cayman Islands continues, Minister Connolly also shared her COVID-19 vaccination story with new and returning teachers.
And one afternoon after everyone left, Premier took the time in the cabinet room, we had just finished a meeting, and said he wanted to speak to me. He didn't come and say, which he could have, well, Juliana, all of my colleagues and yours have it, so it's going to be a political national embarrassment that you have taken it. He knows that German and me probably would not have received that farewell. But he came with eyes of compassion and gestures of care. And he explained his situation, his family's situation, and why I wasn't taken. And I explained most of the medical reasons and some underlying problems that I have. And he said these words, and I'll try to quote it correctly: I wouldn't want to see anything happen to you. That was the catalyst that started to change my mental framework. And then he added, if you agree to take it, I will go with you and hold your hand as necessary. Now he knows that I was afraid, because very few things make me afraid, because Timothy 1:7 says, fear is from the devil, but peace, love, and sound mind comes from the Lord. But I know that I am the breadwinner for my two children and for most of my family. And I was afraid because of some of the underlying medical reasons, that if I went and something happened at the hospital, I wanted somebody there that could call the shots, and who better, perhaps the governor, than the premier. And so the arrangements were made. And the Premier kept his word. We went fairly incognito, haven't seen it on my road yet. And he went into that office and sat there with me, got it, waited the 15-20 minutes, and left. And on Friday I went and got my second one, Premier. He didn't have to come that time because he was busy cleaning up his community, because community builds country. And I wanted to share that personal bit of information, because as teachers, I'm not going to say to you, you have to get it unless you can't come to work, because I won't have no teachers, and that's not an option. But I'm going to say to you, I care about each and every one of you.
To find out more on where and what times you can get vaccinated, you can go online to hsa.gov.ky and gov.ky. Well, the Ministry of Education has announced the appointment of Mr. Mark Ray as the new Director of the Department of Education Services after a rigorous recruitment process. Prior to his appointment, Mr. Ray served as Head of Business Services from 2014 to recently. Commenting on Mr. Ray's appointment as DES Director, Chief Officer Satanya Cacho says Congratulations to Mr. Ray on his appointment to the role. He brings a wealth of knowledge to the role and is enthusiastic about building on the success of our education system. I wish him every success and look forward to working with him as we aim to provide the children of the Cayman Islands with a world-class education. We, of course, here at CIG Television say congratulations to Mr. Ray as well. Well, last Friday, Cayman Islands Regiment officers took part in hurricane relief training. Persons in the districts were able to tour and learn more about what the regiment does. Let's listen as the minister, chief officer, and the regiment's commanding officer tell us more.
This training exercise is a valuable component of what the regiment means to Cayman and the value that it brings to the communities. Today we're training on food distribution, which of course is a critical element of our post-disaster recovery plans. And so to have the regiment training and demonstrating how that training is put into action with the community is really what we're after.
So we're on exercise today. We've got approximately 75 personnel split across two areas. We've got about 30 in West Bay, and we've got about 30 over in Eastern Districts, and then we've got about 5 in the headquarters.
People can see that the regiment, their capabilities, what they're able to do, the equipment that they have in place. So it's coming to come. It's been there a very short time, but in the short time they've been there, they're doing a good job. And what I've especially been impressed with was to see the team work and the discipline and the camaraderie that's between them.
To learn more about the Cayman Islands Regiment, you can go online to gov.ky. Turning now to our forecast, the high temperature reached 89 degrees today, the low 77. The forecast calls for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of afternoon showers. Winds are from the east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots. The seas are slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Now the synopsis calls for light winds and slight to moderate seas, which are expected over and across the Cayman Islands due to a weak pressure gradient across the Caribbean. A weak tropical wave is making its way across the Cayman area and may support some showers throughout this afternoon. Hazy conditions are expected as a plume of Sahara dust moves across the Caribbean region. A reminder that you can find the latest on local weather conditions online at weather.gov.ky. And that's it for today's news brief here on CIG Television. I'm Donna Bush. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.